Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening, everyone. And as always, I am delighted and excited as to my guest here this evening. I'm going to share some of her accolades with you. Excuse me. Sounds like I have a frog in my throat this evening. I think it's the mic, though. Anyways, I'll share some of her accolades, and then we'll let her share with you as well. You may notice popping up on our screen, if you're watching this evening, Medi sounds. And so we're going to be talking about that a lot. My guest is Shulamit, and she is the creator of Medi Sounds, which is something, if you will, that really is innovational and makes a big impact in a very unique way. It changes the way you look at meditation and how you respond in respect to health. So pretty impressive as well. She is author and facilitator. She is a teacher. We have a class with her at the helm tomorrow evening, and that will be held in Delray. And the information will pop up on the screen, and when it does, we'll share that phone number for you so you can call in. It is a Delray phone number, and the class is Mastery of the Ego. So that's kind of cool. The name of the book is Kabbalah of the Prayer. So there you go. There's a little bit here. There's more. So I'll share one more tidbit before we dive in and introduce you. Great Octave Foundation. It's a non-for-profit foundation, and we'll have Shulamit tell you all about her goodies. She's also the director of Soul Song School, which I think is wonderful. Try to say that quickly, and you create a beautiful song. So without further ado, Shulamit, thanks so much for being here this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here and to be here in Florida for my class tomorrow night.
It's a little warmer, isn't it?
Yes, it was a bit dodgy getting out of New York.
I'm sure.
We made it. We weren't confident that we would make it, but we made it. Yeah.
You know, it's funny with this weather because it's back and forth and back and forth. My daughter came in from Boston recently, and she was calling me like every hour saying, I'm not sure if I'm coming in. I'm not sure if I'm coming in. And at the last minute, I'm coming in, but I'm late. So, listen, better safe than sorry. And I see that on the screen, they are sharing some of your things that you do about being the creator and the teacher of Medi Sounds, meditation. So why don't we dive in with that right away? Because most people are familiar with the term meditation. If they watch my show, I share a lot of different forms of meditation, and there are so many different types. What makes Medi Sounds so unique and so different?
Well, Medi Sounds are based on a system within Kabbalah called the Tree of Life, and they are actually 8 sounds, well 10 actually, but 8 that we use, that are directed with intention towards specific energy centers on the body and have a profound effect in silencing the mind and in helping to bring us into a more integrated and whole point of view. They're relatively easy to do. Meditation, sometimes people are a little shy of it because it involves sitting for a long time and attempting to really silence the mind. The sounds actually silence the mind by themselves. You don't have to do anything in order to silence the mind. And in that silence comes calm, comes peace, comes relaxation and freedom from stress, which of course is everything that we all need today, especially the freedom from stress.
Absolutely. Because there are stressors, not only good stressors, like, when your child is getting married, but stressors like trying to get to work in traffic. And then there's just the normal thing as far as all the electronics around us. I mean, really, if you think about it, there's the TV, and then there's the iPad, and then there's whatever else is buzzing around us. And those create stresses within the body as well.
Well, stress is, I don't think that the body necessarily differentiates between good stress and bad stress.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's all stress.
It's all stress.
Absolutely.
So, and then, of course, just as you say, there's just so much information and data, and we're so connected, we're so hooked up to our equipment and our iPhones, etc., that really there's very little time or place to sort of come down and relax.
Right. No, it's very true. So when you talk about MediSounds, touching, if you will, on the energy centers within the body, are you talking specifically about the chakras? Because there is a corollary between the tree of life, between, we'll say, the acupuncture points that a Asian practitioner uses in their practice, and then the chakra centers. So how does that all tie in? And is it, we'll say, specifically directed towards those energy centers? Because you're saying you have 10 sounds and there's 7 primary centers that we deal with within the body.
Well, the chakra system is a different system.
Okay.
It's a very profound system, but it's a different system. This system, based on the Tree of Life, has a different set of sounds for a different series of energy centers, although there is definitely overlap.
Okay, so there is an overlap.
There is overlap, but there's not an overlap in every single instance.
Gotcha. Okay, so what I'm trying to get across so that folks listening and also watching can understand for themselves, if they were to visualize the body and are not familiar with the Tree of Life, what that might look like for them. So perhaps you can share a little bit more information about that.
Well, you're making the sounds, as I said, to specific energy centers, and there's a central column, which involves the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, and the pelvic area.
Okay.
And then there's a right column and a left column, so that would involve the right side of the heart, the right hip.
Okay, gotcha.
The left side of the heart, the left hip. And then there are 2 that we don't make sounds for. So,
okay. Can you give us a little teaser as far as the sounds?
I can give you, yes, is the answer. And this is a sound for, universal sound that can be very helpful to people. And by the way, you can learn these sounds yourself and do them yourself in the privacy of your home or with a group.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, let me see what I'll start with. So those are 2 distinct sounds.
Awesome. If my class that sits with me a lot is watching, they're cracking up because they're going, God, isn't that just like the one you do? I kind of do things just by the way they feel versus, studying a specific sound, but it just kind of feels right. And there's always a reaction. So with that sound, which part of the body or which part of the centers that you just mentioned does that fit with?
Well, the 2 sounds I made were at the throat, and then at the heart.
Okay.
So one was kind of to wake up to our spiritual connection, and the second was to bring compassion and centeredness.
Oh, beautiful. Now, it's interesting, too, because you're very soft-spoken, and yet you've got power when you go to make that sound. Is that true for everyone?
No, everybody's different.
Okay. And I was just wondering if it was a specific sound coming from the diaphragm, for instance, which would be a rounder, fuller sound versus from the throat, because that would create more power.
Well, I'm not sure I completely understand the question, but the sound from the throat is directed with intention upward.
Okay.
So you're using as a resonating chamber the skull and the head, the bones in the head.
Wonderful.
The sound here, it's almost like this is your mouth, that you're pretending this is your mouth.
So it's going here.
So it's going out from here, from the heart.
Gotcha.
And you're using the torso as the resonating chamber.
Beautiful.
And it varies actually in terms of power from person to person, I would imagine.
Now, I mentioned that this was innovative, and I know you've been doing your work for about 25 years now. How has it transformed? Are you finding that you're making a difference with a different type of group of people, or is it very varied? I mean, at this point, because I know I had seen some things about specific groups on your website, and so I'm just curious, has that changed a lot?
Well, what's evolved is the groups that I am teaching, that's expanded quite a bit. So initially I started out with, I traveled all over the world, to India and France and Spain and whatever. I've taught all over the world. I even made the sounds in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.
That's pretty cool.
So I've been all over, but individuals and groups, primarily individual seekers, I guess would be the best way to put it. Groups of people who maybe, like in Mexico, I work with AIDS patients. in a large group.
Right.
And it was very profound for them because it was a healing mechanism they could use.
Okay, so
Right.
let's focus on that for a moment because I mentioned earlier about healing, and you're mentioning it. Excuse me. Now, in what way does it heal? Is it just mind? Is it physical body? Is it spirit? Is it all?
I think I would say that it is all. I don't necessarily. I don't always work with people who need physical healing.
Okay.
But when I work with people who need physical healing, there's also a concentration on the spiritual and emotional aspects. Because without that, the body can't really heal very well.
So when you say there was, let's say, a profound healing with the folks who had AIDS, what sort of things did you see happen?
Well, you just see people relax in terms of an acceptance of a feeling of love or support washing over them. So that's very supportive.
Okay.
I can't say that there was anybody who got up and said, I'm cured. But people said...
No, I was just trying to understand better because you said there was a profound effect. So did somebody come to you and say, wow, I'm at peace now with what I'm going through? Or say, I feel lighter than I have in a while? That's what I'm looking for.
There were several people who expressed that they felt much lighter.
Okay.
Right. I was in Mexico. They were all Spanish speaking, and I am not skilled in
Spanish. That makes it a little bit more difficult.
So, but I know that it went over because they called me their angel. They brought me flowers and things like that. So
I would say that's a good effect then.
So
absolutely.
It was a very good effect. But I as I said, it was a language barrier. But the sounds actually transcend language.
Right. And I think that's true with color, sound, frequency. It's all kind of, again, interrelated, and our bodies are more tied in than we realize. And I think, too, that's why we're so affected by everything that is around us, because it's not so much a visual, but it's more of a sensory type of thing. When you do your class, do you incorporate this into the class when you're talking about ego, or is it a separate entity when you're dealing with Medi sounds?
No, I mean, everything's incorporated. You have to understand the issues that all human beings faced intellectually, as well as from a spiritual standpoint. So you have to have meaning. You have to understand what you're doing. And then I teach certain principles, and then I show the path to mastering the ego.
Okay, we're going to have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Absolutely.
Wow, this looks really great. Gosh, I've got to stop talking to myself. The Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of every month, 7:30 p.m. here in Boca Raton. De-stress, connect with intuitive abilities, laugh, learn about psychic phenomena, and get psychic messages? Psychic messages? Woo! Where's the price? Here it is. Only $25 at the door? Awesome! How do I sign up? Oh, easy. Go to HalleyElise.com. Nice. $5 off online? Oh, I've got to call the girls and tell them about the Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of the month. Great time. 7:30 p.m. Perfect. Have to remember HalleyElise.com for the Psychic Gallery.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Hello, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I have a lovely guest here this evening, Shulamit. She is the creator of Medi Sounds. She's also the director of Soul Song School. Love just saying that. That's just awesome. And tomorrow evening, there is Mastery of the Ego taking place in Delray, where it will be facilitated by Shulamit. The phone number for the workshop is showing up on the screen, but if you're listening in, grab a pen. It's 787-677-8797. I'll give you that one more time for tomorrow evening. The workshop is 787-677-8797. And you can say, hey, I want to be there. I want to know more. Before we stopped for break, we were talking a little bit about the workshop, and I was asking, if you incorporated the Medi Sounds into all of it, and you were saying yes, and that there are different levels and steps.
Well, basically, it's tools. How do you do it?
Okay.
So,
well, you're mastering, I would think mastering the ego means certain practices that you would adapt so that you can do just that.
that's exactly right. So instead of just talking about it intellectually, like you need to master your ego, you need to calm your ego, etc., you're actually learning how to do that.
Beautiful.
So that you.
And how long is the workshop? Is it a 2 hour, 3 hour?
3 hours.
3 hour. And what is the price of the workshop?
It's $50.
Okay, reasonable for a 3 hour workshop. Beautiful. Right. Okay, so again, folks, make sure if you want to find out more information about the workshop, give Lila, who is a friend of ours, a call, and she can help you schedule the workshop. It's 787-677-8797. I also want to give you, it's on the air, on the screen, but if you're listening, medisounds.com is the website, and you might want to explore. You'll find some very fascinating information there about what's taking place with this meditation practice. Okay, so your book, Kabbalah of Prayer, there's so many books out about Kabbalah, and there's so many books out about how we use prayer, how we speak. What do you think makes yours stand out?
Well, from a Kabbalah standpoint, it's an extremely accessible book.
Okay.
It's
In
the
what way?
concepts are very clearly explained, and they're clearly explained even though they don't. They honor the essence of the teaching. So they clearly explained, and they honor the essence of the teaching.
Okay.
So that's one aspect. The second thing is that the sounds haven't been discussed for over 1,000 years. They're
Wow,
written in,
that's pretty impressive.
well, they come from the literature that was written in the 12th and 13th century,
That's
and in
beautiful.
Aramaic and Hebrew and so on, and not very accessible. But I've taken those sounds
Excuse me.
and the teachings, and I've created this system of metasounds which combines and builds a practice based on these particular elements. So it introduces the sounds which haven't been spoken about in 1,000 years, like I said.
That's incredible, truly.
And then I also provide some practices in the book.
Okay, excellent. So it is different in the sense that they're not looking and saying, okay, this is the tree of life, and I have to study this particular Hebrew word, and I have to master it. It's working differently to share that information.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. And just thinking here, you wanted to share about an app that you are developing. Is this something that's going to be available on all phones or just some phones? And is this specifically for the MediSounds that you can use this?
We're creating an app to help people sleep. A lot of people have
Awesome.
difficulty sleeping using the sounds. It's going to be available on the iPhone as well as on the Androids. And it'll probably be available in about 2 months.
Okay.
So if
that's
you're
great.
interested in learning about it or knowing that of when it's going to be available or even participating in a beta study, please write me at
Ooh, that might be fun.
metasounds.com.
What is medisounds.com? So at the same website that I mentioned a moment ago. So again, they can find out more information about the sounds. They can find out about the app, and beta program sounds awesome. How fun would that be?
Yeah, they
sign
won't.
up.
Yeah, they won't find out about the app because that's not up yet on the site. But they'll find my contact information.
Well,
and they can
that's what
write.
I meant. Basically,
Yeah.
they can communicate with you and get more information that way, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So tell us about the Great Octave Foundation. Obviously, that's sound also. When you think octave, you think raising up as far as sound, but also octave could be just rising up. So what's your intention with that? And it's non-for-profit, yes?
Great Octave Foundation is a 501c3 not-for-profit.
Okay.
It was formed so that we could bring this work to people who couldn't afford it. I've been teaching veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan war, some of whom are homeless, through an organization in New York called Services for the Underserved, which actually supplies housing to 7,500 homeless New Yorkers. And,
That's incredible.
I don't mean shelter, I mean housing.
Right.
Proper room and cooking and so on, and they provide support services to get these people back on their feet. So anyway, I'm teaching the sound meditation in that system, and I've also I run once a month. You'll see on my website I give a free sound meditation by internet, and I've done different programs over the years in different countries across the globe.
So you're a busy lady. I'm
Yeah.
curious, what was the motivation to seek out this ancient information? Was it just that you came across it because of your studies, or was there something within that inspired you to look at that particular text?
Well, I had been meditating and as a byproduct of the meditation, I began to have an urge to make sounds. I'm not a singer by training, and I don't know why they came to me. I found it mysterious and intriguing, also a little bit scary, but I did pursue it, and the pursuit of it meant that I had to listen to my inner guidance to make the sounds. And after a while, I was confused about how to use it, quite frankly, but I started testing it out on people, on friends, and so on.
Using friends as guinea pigs.
Yes.
Okay.
And then gradually, as I gained confidence, I began to work with one or two people or groups of people, and I do have the ability to see with the sounds as well. So I started working like that, and after a few years, I decided to write the book. And in writing the book, I came across, I had to do a lot of research, and I came across the literature that supported the work that I was doing. So in other words, it came first as a intuitive thing, and secondly, to find the textual basis in 13th century text.
It's really interesting with that, because I find with all of my abilities, and I've been very blessed to be claircognizant, clairvoyant, telepathic, et cetera, and I find that I do it first, and then it's like, well, why am I doing it? And where does it come from? So I feel like, God says, here you go. And then it's up to you to do the work so that you can share it.
And we have to ground things.
Absolutely.
So whatever we learn, we still have to act through this body.
Right. I want to ask, because we're almost at our time, believe it or not. Excuse me. I get into this station. There must be something in the air that I'm sensitive to, because I do this almost all the time. And I really was fine when I was outside. If there was something specific, one thing that you wanted to share with everybody about your work, what would that be?
To come to joy in your life,
okay,
you have to come to self-knowledge. In order to come to self-knowledge, you have to have a certain kind of courage or bravery in order to do that. But you can do it very, very slowly and carefully and with discipline, combining that desire to know yourself with the sound prayers, which give you access to the higher realms. You can develop over time with discipline a very beautiful life, which is more joyous, less anxious, less fearful than the one that
you may be experiencing.
Exactly. Thank you. Took the words from my mouth.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so grateful that you could be here with us today. I want to share again that tomorrow evening you have, or I should say tomorrow. I didn't even ask if it's in the evening. What time is it? It is evening.
6:30.
Sure. 6:30. 6:30. Okay, in the evening. It is a 3-hour class, Mastery of the Ego. Give Lila, a friend of ours, a call. She's going to be picking up the phone there waiting for you. It's like, when they say, call, quick, call, sign up. Not a marathon, but it would be lovely for you to join in tomorrow evening. And the phone number, once again, is 787-677-8797. Now, again, I'm so grateful you could be here, because I think this information is important. People tend to, I find I do a lot of meditation facilitation, and a lot of times they go, I just can't do it. Can't quiet the mind. Can't. And using sound, as you said, it's amazing how it just begins to transform that state, and you automatically connect.
It's relatively easy to do. And it connects you to the higher realms in a way that's very supportive, and you don't feel isolated anymore.
Which is beautiful. Absolutely. I do want to share with everyone, I am at the Renaissance Festival. So, excuse me. That's it. I'm going to get air filters in the station. Renaissance Festival is running 5 more weekends. We started this past weekend. Actually, I was there today. It was school days where all the kids came out to play. That was interesting. One after the other with children. And next Monday, it's a holiday, so we'll be open as well. So I think Saturday, Sunday, and Monday next weekend. And then for the next 4 weekends, it will be literally the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. That came out kind of funny. But if you want to take a look online, look at ren-fest.com. So that's REN-FEST.com. And of course, the booth is Mysteries by Halley, Elise. And I really shouldn't say booth, because we're in the realm. We are in a different era. And you want to come in and look for the purple tent near the crown stage. But it's definitely an experience. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth coming out and experiencing for yourself, not only the period of time, but all the excitement that takes place. You have minstrels that truly create sound also that is just so relaxing and inspirational. I was listening to some of them today, and it's not very often that you have musicians that, without any sort of enhancement, can make sound that carries across. And some of our performers there are incredible. But there's also the Mud Show, and that's fun. But sit in the back seat. So thank you for tuning in this evening. Again, thanks, Shulamit, for being here. Remember, medisounds.com to get more information, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in.